So, hi, I just decided I wanted to jump in and tell you a story. I mediated a case yesterday. It involved two ladies. They live with their husbands in a duplex. It was built back in the middle 1940s. And back in those days, they would build a common wall, and it would be pretty much 2x4s with lath on either side. No insulation, nothing that went in between the walls. And so you've got this fairly skinny wall, and sound travels back and forth between that wall like you can't imagine. And this has been an ongoing conflict between them for probably the last, I would say, couple of years. They used to be really good friends. They obviously lived really close to each other in these two fairly small duplexes with the common wall. One of them was married, the other one was not. Down the road, the one that wasn't married got a boyfriend, and the boyfriend was a musician. And so moved into that fairly small duplex, all kinds of, well, not all kinds, but a keyboard, an amplifier, and mics so they could sing vocals. And, he plays in a band part of the time. And so while he didn't move all of the other instruments in, the keyboard and the vocals were enough, along with the new TV and the surround sound, that was just creating havoc when it came to the other neighbors, because they never knew when the sound was going to play. They never knew what was going to happen. And it was just disrupting their lifestyle. So they called the city. They called the cops. Well, there's really not much of an enforcement issue, because unless you're exceeding a pretty high decibel limit, you're not going to break the law. And so you can practice in your other side of the house with your keyboard, with your electronic amplification, with your vocals, and it doesn't break the law as long as you're not playing after 10 o'clock at night or before 7 in the morning. And so what really sort of, I think, tipped the one couple over the edge and brought them into mediation was they saw the musician and his wife back up a trailer and unload a piano that they rolled into the house. So now they have the electronic equipment, they have the TV and the surround sound, and they have the piano that they rolled into their house. And I got a call, and the overly distraught woman said, "I can't stand this anymore. I'm going out of my mind. It's affected my health. I don't know what else to do. You need to talk to the cops. I'm willing to sit down and mediate. Whatever it takes, I'm willing to do that." And so yesterday, I sat down and mediated with them. Actually, I had a co-mediator with me. So one of our fairly new mediators brought him along to kind of give him a chance to see how this worked and kind of give me a chance to see how they worked. The interesting thing, and the whole reason I'm telling all this story and going to all of this, is I want to emphasize the importance of the storytelling phase. The one woman is a bit OCD, compulsive. Every little detail matters to her. And so that I knew that when I said, "You've got 3 or 4 minutes to tell the story," if I wasn't real careful, she would ramble all over the place. She wouldn't get the story told. She'd want 15 minutes instead of 10 minutes. Not instead of 10 minutes, instead of the 3 or 4 minutes. So I told her ahead of time. I said, "Please think about what you're going to say. Think about what's important. And I want you to share from your perspective how this is impacting your life, what you're hoping to get out of this mediation." So she actually wrote it down. She had a script that she wrote down and that she followed. The value of the storytelling phase is that both sides, both women, had 3 to 4, if they spill over to 5 minutes, I'm okay with that, time to go through their perception of what's happening and why this is a conflict, and where it started, and why we're here today. The critically important part to me as a mediator is that is my time to figure out how to identify issues, to figure out how to identify what's important, and to figure out how to set an agenda for moving forward. I think this was really brought home to me because I watched my co-mediator, my fairly new mediator in this process, and she listened, She did a great job of doing the sort of opening because I'd asked her to do that. What she missed was the ability to identify the clear, succinct issues, set them back out in front of the parties, and then use that as a process to move through the exchange. We'll get to the exchange in a couple of weeks. You'll see how important that is. You'll see why moving from positions to issues or interests becomes critical. I tell the whole story, I guess, because as I drove home and as I sat in traffic, I thought about the challenge that it is for us as mediators to be able to listen carefully, to listen to the story intuitively, and then to be able to focus the parties on, okay, so here's what I understand to be important. Boom, boom, boom. Let's start here. That ability to listen, that ability to focus with 110% of you on that storytelling is critically important. We'll get to more of that later. I just wanted to tell a story. I wanted to tell you about how that mediation went yesterday. And I want to emphasize again how important it is to stay